Hey everybody, welcome to another Secret Spaces. We're going to be kicking off here in just a moment. Give us a second to get all of our speakers up here on stage and just sit tight. Waiting to see if all our expected faces show up here. Remember, you can stick your hands up and then I can pull you up here, but Patrick is now a co-host. He's going to be looking for our scheduled speakers to bring up here on stage. Again, just give us a moment. We like to get the tweet out. We like to share it around. Please take the link to this Twitter space, share it around in your communities, whatever they are. Telegram, Discord, text your friends. Let's try to pack the room for the GeeksPics team that's going to be here today talking about their metaverse. Sit tight for just a bit. Are we expecting somebody still from the GeeksPics account? I think we are.
Vlad, he's in the audience. I've just invited him up.
Yep, there's Vlad, but Vlad, are we also expecting somebody from the GeeksPics account to be joining up?
Yes, just in a moment.
Cool. In the meantime, I think we're getting our announcements out around all of our channels. Patrick, let me know when we've done that. And then also we'll be pinning our tweet to the space here that'll tell you how to claim today's Secret Spaces badge. So thanks everybody who's been collecting those. Give us a hot second here, and we're just waiting for our main guests to show up, but we've already got some great people up here on stage representing Geeks, representing also the Akash ecosystem.
Announcements are out. The tweet is pinned. Just waiting on a couple more Akash people.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'll kick this off and reset the space for everybody. This is Secret Spaces. We do these every Tuesday. Today is the October 11th edition, 2022. This is Tor hosting from the Secret Network account and from Secret Foundation. Patrick is co-hosting with me as well from the Foundation. Today, we're very excited to be hosting people from both the Lorem Ipsum Geeks team and then also from Akash. We'll keep adding people up as they get into the space scheduled to speak, but we're going to be talking about metaverses. We're going to be talking about Lorem Ipsum specifically. We're going to be talking about this collaboration between the Secret and Akash ecosystems. I mean, it's all very exciting stuff. Both ecosystems very obviously care deeply about interoperability and global usability. So having more projects like this emerging that are spanning both ecosystems is really great. So let's go ahead and actually let's start with you, Vlad.
Yeah, hey everybody, hey Secret Network, and everyone else from different ecosystems. My name is Vlad. I represent Lorem Ipsum here. Some of you might know me by my role at Citadel One. My roles are similar to both of those projects. I'm here to represent the community and generally managing all public relations at this project. Today with me is Solomon, also of our co-founders.
My name is Sol, and I'm on product part. To add to that, I was in charge of art direction of NFT collection GeeksPics, which plays a role as a path to the metaverse. So it's really nice to be here today. Hi.
Awesome, good to have you. And then we also have Anil up here on stage if you want to do an introduction.
Hey everyone, this is Anil Murthy, and I'm the head of product over at Akash Network. So I lead our product management, developer relations, and product design efforts. I guess we'll talk about Akash a little bit later. Good to be here.
Cool. Well, let's get straight into it. I mean, today we are here to talk about what's being built by the Lorem Ipsum team and how they're building it. And we're going to start off with the very basics. But just before we do, we're here today to talk about metaverses. And I did mention we have a secret badge today. If you click the pinned tweet right here, you can see the link to claim your secret badge from today. There is something in the private metadata to tease everything that's been happening at Lorem Ipsum, but you need the claim code. If you type in that claim code, you'll be able to claim this free to mint badge with unlockable private metadata powered by Secret, and your claim code is Metaverse. All one word, METAVERSE, Metaverse. Makes a lot of sense because that's what we're here to talk about. And if you want to see it for yourself, go claim that badge right now and check it out. But let's start from the beginning. Before we're even getting into specifically Lorem Ipsum, how it's built, this is just a weird term. I talk about this all the time when I'm doing podcasts or anything else. It's the term metaverse is so squishy. What does it mean? So for everybody who's up here on stage, who's a builder, what is your definition of metaverse?
Okay, I think I'll start with the definition of metaverse that exactly means for myself. Yeah. So for me, it's a digital world, but different from the game world. It's a world where real life and digital world meet each other and they coexist. It's like the internet of the future, where we scroll all services not just on 2D screen, but in a gamified, beautiful environment, improved user experience and improved interface, because it's just everything as in real life. And all the services that are built in this metaverse, they are services we use every day in our life. So this is what I put into this definition. Maybe someone else from the team, Solomon, you can add to it something.
Yep, sure. First of all, I would like to say that I fully support the Vlad's idea, but still I have to add something, is that metaverse, I guess it's the future of internet, because in that space, you can actually use any kind of digital service, but without leaving your home and without sharing your personal data. So in my very own opinion, I guess it's some kind of a permissionless and scalable and decentralized way of using the services in the digital world.
Cool. I don't know if there's. I wanted to give you the chance, Anil, if you have thoughts on your own personal definition of metaverse. It doesn't have to be the official Akash position, but I'm just always curious where people fall on the topic. And also, I saw the official Akash handle has also joined us up here. Don't know who's joining from there, but welcome to the stage.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. Again, this is just my own personal impression of the metaverse, as you said. I think when I think of the metaverse, I basically think about collaboration, number one. So I think about the way the world has evolved from being very centralized and very sort of people being in one place and working together, to the world essentially becoming flat in some ways and people collaborating a lot more. The idea of being able to work remotely, being able to work in open source distributed teams. I look at it from that angle, and to me, the metaverse sort of enables that, or at least supports that notion going forward.
Awesome. I want to give whoever's joining from the Akash network a chance to respond as well, unless you're just here to hang out, which is also fine.
Yeah, sorry for the delay there. I'm Zach Horn. I manage content for Akash Network. I would agree with Anil's point. I think of the metaverse really as a shared space. It's shared, it's collaborative, it's a place where people come together digitally in a way that's very cohesive. So everyone that's working to build out the concept of the metaverse, I think we'll see things move in that direction over time consistently.
Cool. Well, the metaverse is definitely one of those places that it's tough to define the boundaries as we're seeing, but we do have a general sense of what it is when we see it, when we experience it. But I think to this stage, most metaverses have not actually found any. If we're just thinking about Web3 metaverses, we're still waiting for Web3 metaverses to find real adoption. It's still very early stages. Some of the best builders are only really just getting started, and some of the best metaverses haven't yet to launch. And I think that's what we're looking at here. Of course, it's rapidly coming to become a reality with Lorem Ipsum. So let's talk specifically then about Lorem Ipsum. Give us a quick overview of what Lorem Ipsum actually is and what it's trying to provide.
Yeah, so as I've started, I mentioned some of the basic general view on the metaverse. Yeah, it's like a digital world with services. Of course, there can be games, and Lorem Ipsum Metaverse is mostly about services. We call it Metaverse as a Service. I'll start with the Genesis location. So it's like an MVP version. And it already has several use cases. First of all, we wanted to show how secret metadata works there. Yeah, so we use authorization with secret metadata because in the future, metaverses will explode with many services, in real life services as well. And so this was the first thing that we wanted to implement and show that this actually works and your private data is secured. Then the location itself. So it's like a starting point from where all the users will go to other different locations that will be implemented in the future, integrated in the future. And they all will be providing some sort of services. So both blockchains, blockchain protocols, networks. Talking about in real life, what I meant is, for example, yoga studios where users would be able to practice it, music festivals, and so on and so on. And our Genesis location is it has several screens with the data on them. First, we decided to show the collection. So users that log in into Lorem Ipsum, they can see their NFT on huge resolution with all the properties, rarity score, and so on. There can be also video streams, lectures implemented on those screens. Then we have this cool little feature is painting. Yeah, so because we think that metaverse is a world that users shape and build themselves. Yeah, so we decided to add this little thing, gamified, so that users could express themselves. And it was used for several cases already, as the metaverse is up and running for 2 weeks. And we saw price trackers there, Osmosis, Juno, Kujira even, and we saw some announcements of the events, including those that were on Cosmoverse. Users, they paint huge banners with their logos of their companies. We saw Posthuman, some Rect DAO, a couple more. Kujira, there is like a huge orca painted on the wall. Some people even declare their love to other people. I could saw that some quotes from chats that made everyone laugh. So just one feature, but it provides many use cases. So this is in few words what Lorem Ipsum is right now. Maybe our Solomon, maybe you have an opinion. Maybe you have something to add here.
Yes, sure. Thanks. I would say one thing is that with building that space, we try to justify that metaverse. It's not only about entertainment. We try to build a set of use cases of various blockchain technologies. In this way, we are trying to reveal the possibility of metaverse to show users and potential partners, of course, what technical possibilities we have. So for now, we are just painting the walls, wandering around using digital avatars, communicating with each other. But behind that, we have like super technical basis. We're talking about secret metadata, verification, passes to different kind of places and carrying the information, the private one or the public one. We could use that kind of technology in any possible way. As Vlad mentioned, we could build, for example, a streaming platform for music, or maybe we could build some kind of gaming space. This is the only beginning. And what we're trying to convey is that we have various use cases to work with.
I mean, it sounds incredibly exciting, and I would love to dive a little bit deeper then about like the functionality that's being used here. You're building on Secret, you're building on Akash. Like, what is like the coolest thing in terms of that functionality that you were excited to unlock by building across both of these networks? We're starting to hear in more and more teams building across Secret and Akash, which is amazing. What in particular about like private smart contracts do you guys like get most excited by?
I'll repeat in more details how we use Secret Network and Secret Contracts because it's simply beautiful. It's exactly the tech that we were looking for when looking for a way for users to authorize the metaverse securely. Yeah, and so that it is a sustainable solution. We use secret NFTs, and in their secret metadata, there is basically a path to this metaverse. Yeah, without unwrapping it, you cannot go further. And what's most beautiful about it is that there is almost no information shared with the backend when you log in. On front end side, you communicate with the contract. Yeah, you create a key, and your address only is to verify that you have a particular token. Then you have the token ID, and this is what goes to backend. Yeah, it creates a key, a special pass with which you enter the metaverse. So the token ID, yeah, of the particular NFT is the only thing shared, and the signature. And this is beautiful. Yeah, this is what we needed to find, to be sure that all services that will be onboarded to Lorem Ipsum, they won't be able to collect user data, because in metaverses, you can imagine every single piece of data can be collected. How you move your eyes, your preferences, your all services that you are using, what you are listening to, and so on and so on and so on. And Secret Network allowed us to just completely get rid of this problem. And this is the most beautiful thing about it. And speaking for Akash, authorization and minting of Geek NFTs is happening on our website that is hosted by Akash. Unfortunately, the metaverse itself is not yet on it. We are using GPU servers because there is a lot of content a lot of visual digital content that users create themselves, and for these purposes we needed a good server with GPU. But I've heard, and it was already announced by Akash that GPU marketplace is coming, and this made us even more exciting. So Secret and Akash are really building this powerful combination of decentralized services.
That's amazing. It's great to see how it's all fitting together and how the roadmap can evolve even where it already is towards having this fully decentralized stack. So let's talk for a second a little bit about how this relates to scalability, which is another concern. Like we've talked about sustainability. Like I talk all the time about the link between privacy and sustainability of all of these solutions and services. So how does that interact with your thoughts about scalability? Obviously, you want as many users as possible being able to enter and enjoy this metaverse. How are you thinking about solving those issues?
This is another great question, and it also involves secret NFTs here, and maybe interchain NFTs. So now we have one Genesis location. It's mostly about Geeks NFT and about the projects, that the tech stack that we used. There are flags displayed on the alley of all organizations that were helping us and taking part in it. So let's imagine we integrate some new location. Let's call it some marketplace for NFTs. They have for example, Stash, yeah. So they have secret pages, and we can integrate a location Stash with gumballs, yeah, with some games, places to see and browse NFTs, and Stash issues a special collection for pass to the metaverse. So one location, one new collection. For example, then Yoga Studio. Along with yoga classes that you usually buy to practice yoga online, you get a secret NFT. It also has the same secret metadata authorization. Yeah, so users that practice yoga can not only just choose a video to watch on their computer, but actually enter the metaverse and practice it with more interesting features like in 3D or remotes and so on and so on. So this is going to be expanding with new locations that provide services and passes, which is secret NFT for us.
Amazing. I don't know if you had anything else to add from anybody else who's up here, because I mean, scalability is obviously something I know Akash thinks about as well. We can just generally talk about how we're thinking about scalability these days.
Yeah, I think from an Akash perspective, if I can add a couple of things here, as was mentioned just a few minutes ago, today Akash is a CPU marketplace. So it's a marketplace where you can essentially lease CPU resources and cloud computing resources from a variety of providers. So there's a large number of providers. We have about 50 providers on our two-sided marketplace. And on one side of this marketplace are tenants, on the other side are providers. And our intentions are to grow this the number of providers on our marketplace from 50 to close to 1,000 providers over time. And so what that means is not only do you get scalability in terms of the large number of providers, what you also get is variety. So you get to choose a provider in a given location of the world, unlike today's public clouds where you deploy, and you're pretty much limited to the locations where the public cloud provider defines or decides to have infrastructure located. So what that gives you is it gives you the benefit of lower latency. So the more number of locations you have and the more geographically distributed they are, the lower the latency is to be able to access the applications that are running on them. And this is really critical for high data rate or high bandwidth applications like video, like gaming, like metaverse applications, right? So that's super important. The other thing, as was mentioned, is today, Lorem Ipsum's website runs on Akash, so they take advantage of our compute resources to run their website, where people can mint GeeksPics. But the bigger thing is going to be in the future, and we already have this on our roadmap, and we're starting to work on it, is adding support for GPUs, right? I wrote a little Twitter thread on the weekend about GPUs and why the market for GPUs is going to basically tenfold over the next 10 years. So there are estimates that the total size of the market for GPUs in 2020 was about 20 billion, and that's going to go to about a little over 200 billion by 2028. And the reason that's going to happen is because the number of applications that will require GPUs or that can utilize GPUs is going to massively grow over the next several years. And the metaverse is going to be one of those key applications. And so that's the reason why it's a significant product priority for us. And it's something that we're going to be expending a lot of our resources to get up and running and getting ready, in the next few months.
That's extremely exciting. No, it's amazing to hear how rapid the progress is and how you're being responsive to where it seems like the market and the demand is immediately going. So even beyond the technology, though, let's talk for a second about what has it been like experiencing the Akash and Secret communities? Like, you can talk about them individually or collectively, but from the perspective of the Lorem Ipsum team, how has that support been felt, or what, when you're interacting with these teams and with these communities, what's the greatest value that you feel like you're finding that would have been more difficult to find in other ecosystems?
I'll start with the day when we decided, when we came up with this idea. And first, we were thinking between a couple of networks. I remember Stargaze was only planning to release the marketplace. and then we all gathered together and discussed all the networks and tech stack that we would need, and it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious for us that we will choose Secret, and we are all familiar here. I mean, our one of the co-founders is Kate. She has also participated in many projects, including Anons. Then she, I think, made both websites for them, and Alter, and so on and so on. And we are already and I am, as Citadel 1 member, I'm also very tied to Secret Network, so it was kind of an easy choice for us. And there are so many people that are familiar faces, and so because of that we had really good support from them. And Akash also was very friendly when they just knew about us launching our website and other plans for the metaverse. Some of the co-founders, they supported us, and so basically the support from communities was great, and thanks to everyone for it. The road was really long for us, as we started in December of the last year, and we released just 2 weeks, and many people stayed during this time with us. Though I know people don't really like when you announce something like half a year before, and then you just deliver it. You keep saying, yeah, okay, it's soon, when soon, and so on. But yeah, it was very exciting road to this. So yeah, that's it.
And if you don't mind, I would add just several words. So I've been with the Secret Network since the early days of the network launch, and I would even say that for me it's kind of a home network. So for me it was no doubt where to launch at, and just to tell the truth, I sincerely believe that the ecosystem community is the friendliest one in the world of crypto right now. So we had no doubt to launch on the Secret Network, taking into account the technical opportunities plus like a personal attitude.
No, that's incredible feedback. And obviously there's a lot of overlap between the Secret and Akash communities, people understanding how critical both privacy and compute are going to be to scaling all of Web3 and then securing it and sustaining it. We're about halfway. This is actually probably a great time to remind people that if they have not yet gotten hands-on with any Secret NFT, any non-fungibles on Secret that make use of things like private ownership, private metadata, just that level of control that you now get as a creator and as a collector, we do stress that it's something that's really important to experience. You can go right now by following the link in the pinned tweet, go and claim your very own Secret NFT, your own Freedom Mint badge. And inside that badge, you're going to see a teaser video of just what's being built by the Lorem Ipsum team. You'll need the claim code. And if you missed the claim code is Metaverse. All one word, all caps, Metaverse. Use that. You'll be able to decrypt the private metadata of your brand new Secret NFT. You'll be able to gaze inside of it and see what's coming after all these months of hard work. Finally, you'll be able to see what's actually in store for users. So hopefully everybody gets a chance to do that. While we're talking about that, though, and while we still have the Akash team with us, which is awesome, let's talk a little bit then, since we've looked at how Lorem Ipsum is using both platforms. What do you guys see as the potential for having more crossover between dApps across the infrastructure on Secret and Akash now and in the future? I know that we had a really exciting announcement recently. I don't know who's best qualified to talk about that, but everybody, we say the metaverse is for everybody. We say that Web3 is for everybody. That's institutions as well as individuals. And now we're also seeing that also this can be used in applications by governments and militaries, again, for the purposes of security. That's one of the things that we care about the most as a project is how we can better secure data in decentralized settings. So that's something that's happening now. Maybe we should talk about that quickly now. I know we've got a space coming up just to talk about that, so we don't have to spend too long. But then let's also talk about, maybe from the Akash team's perspective, the kinds of dApps that you're really excited to see in the future.
Yeah, I can jump in here for a few minutes, and then maybe Patrick or somebody has things to add on the secret side. But essentially, I think, as you were mentioning, Akash today is a fairly, workload agnostic. I use the word workload agnostic as in we don't have a strong opinion about the types of workloads that you deploy in Akash, meaning we're a cloud compute provider. So, in theory, um, you can deploy any Web3 applications ranging from RPC nodes, validator nodes for chains, to DeFi applications, to Metaverse applications, obviously, to literally anything that requires compute resources, and then also like traditional websites and your own personal blogs or your own personal web pages, those can be hosted on Akash as well. So fairly workload neutral from that perspective. Now that said, where we have found a real product market fit and true sort of user base interaction is literally in the Web3 communities, and that's for a variety of reasons, right? The number one reason, obviously, is we are a decentralized cloud provider, so we don't actually own any or most of the infrastructure. It's owned by a variety of different providers who have infrastructure that is underutilized, that they want to bring onto the Akash marketplace. So it's very decentralized from that perspective. We're also in a completely open source project. So literally all the key components of the abstraction layer that enable the Akash marketplace are all open source, and they're available out there. So we take decentralization and openness to the core of our company, and that's the way we build, right? And we're very community driven as well. And then talking in terms of some of the other benefits, there are people that are building sort of applications on top of us to make it easy to utilize our products. So there are people that are sort of going after specific verticals. For example, there are companies or startup teams that are building applications that make it really easy to deploy personal websites. We have our own product that's going to be coming out pretty soon that we're calling Overclock Console, that is going to be squarely focused on making it super easy to spin up validator nodes or RPC nodes and other things for chains on our network. And so one of the applications out there is a team called CloudMoss, and they have this pricing tool that you can go up against and compare sort of what it'll cost you to deploy on Akash versus on some of these other cloud providers like AWS or GCP or Azure. And what you'll see from that pricing calculator is that in many instances, the cost to run on Akash is about 80% lower than some of these other cloud providers. So that's going to be extremely important as you start to think about Web3 applications, decentralization, as well as being able to build some of these more larger scale applications, so to speak.
That's a great overview. Anything else that you wanted to share from the official Akash account?
Yeah, I would say from that standpoint, if anybody's interested in the ways that Akash is being used by some of our government and military and defense partners, we have a Twitter Spaces tomorrow with Alani Bankhead and Lourdes Miranda, both two people with deep experience in the U.S. government. If anybody's interested in learning more about the ways that Akash integrates with the government and our defense communities, I'd recommend definitely tuning into that tomorrow.
That's a good tip. If you're interested in all this stuff, obviously you should just go ahead and follow Akash so you don't miss these kinds of announcements. And also, you shouldn't miss an Akash hosted Twitter space that's coming up October 19th, 3 p.m. UTC. We'll be joining for an Akash hosted Twitter space to talk about specifically this recent dApp that was first and second place, I believe, at the Department of Defense Hackathon, which is absolutely something that I could never, ever in 1,000 years win myself. So I'm glad very clever people are finding a way to build things across both ecosystems that are touching these really just unprecedented use cases from the real world, let's say, but on Web3 tech, which is what we've been talking about for a long time. I saw Lorem Ipsum hand went up. If Vlad, you had something to comment on this as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the best use cases that Secret and Akash could use. And I think after what happened to Tornado Cache, for example, a GitHub based on both Secret and Akash would be a perfect, I think, use case for both networks, and something that is really, really needed, especially nowadays. Yeah, that's just one thing that I wanted to mention.
Cool. Well noted. So we've got about 20 minutes left in this space. This is usually about the time we're going to bring people up on stage here if they've got their questions for the Akash team, for the Lorem Ipsum team. While we have them here today, we're very pleased to be able to host them. Get your hands up now. We'll start bringing people on stage in just a second. But I wanted to make sure before we did that I didn't miss anything really obvious that I should have been asking. If we missed some teases that should have been teased or any other announcements from either of these teams, we always leave a little time at the end also so you can point people towards your social channels and things like that. But for right now, like, was there anything that we missed before we throw the floor open to questions?
Yeah, for secret agents, that want to dive deeper into Lorem Ipsum, we will be having another Twitter Spaces with secret agents tomorrow, and agents of the roundtable next week on Thursday. So for secret guys who wants to learn more about us, welcome to join on one of these events later. And yeah, thanks for coming, and looking forward for your questions.
Yeah, if I can jump in here really quickly on our side, I guess there's a couple of things. One is, as was already mentioned, there's going to be a Twitter Spaces with Secret Network. I believe it's tomorrow or the 19th. So please join that if you're interested to learn more about the DoD project that we worked on. Outside of that, we did a presentation at Misari Mainnet a couple of weeks ago. So there is a very detailed presentation by me about the why we're building Akash network, as well as the kinds of applications that are running on them, as well as ways that you can build potentially if you have a startup idea or something that you think is going to be of value to the Web3 communities. Ways that you can build on top of Akash as well. So definitely check out that video. You should be able to find a link to that video either on the Akash account or on my Twitter account. Both of them have tweeted it out in the last few days.
Oh yeah, and forgot to mention we have Spaces with Akash on November 20, and we will be talking more specifically on Metaverse and decentralized solutions for servers, CPUs. So also we'll be diving deeper into that.
Awesome. And I also was able to bring Scott here from Akash up on stage if you had something you wanted to add as well.
No, yeah, I'm for some reason having some Twitter Spaces issues, but glad to finally join. So my name is Scott Carruthers. I'm the director of technical support at Akash. So I'm constantly living within our Discord community. So very excited to get people, if interested in getting started with Akash and want to go through some examples of how to deploy on Akash through incredibly easy processes, please join our Discord server, and I'm happy to assist there. And just to echo some of the previous sentiments, obviously very much looking forward to working with Secret and Lorem Ipsum, especially when we get GCPU support in the next couple months. It's obviously going to be a tremendous future.
Awesome. I mean, this is all really exciting to hear. We got a bunch of hands actually, so I'll try to get people up here on stage. I think some people keep dropping off and on, but we'll start with the one person who was able to stick around, which is Emir. If you've got a question for these teams, and then I'll try to bring up everybody else who has a hand as well.
Yes, hi everyone. Lorem Ipsum, first I'd like to congratulate you for building on Secret, meaning that you value our privacy, and also that you're building on Akash, meaning that you also value the spirit of IBC and the interoperability. My question, I'm sorry, you have most of your docs are on Telegram, not so active. So I want to know if at the beginning to enter the Metaverse and your application is going to be through the GeeksPics NFT, right?
If you don't mind, I would like to answer. Yes, for now, access to the metaverse is appearing only through holding our NFT from the Geeks NFT collection. So as was mentioned, you can go just through the link to our website where you could mint our NFT and enter the metaverse at the very same time. So, but actually, if you facing any kind of issue with minting an NFT, you could just visit our Telegram community. So there's help.
Thank you very much. Is there going to be like integration of other NFT secret entities for the metaverse that you're building on Secret?
Yes, sure. At this time, we're holding the conversation with different projects, with the projects we like. So in the close future, I think we will announce a collaboration to build another space with the same way of access through an NFT. But it's all in negotiations right now, so it will take a little bit time.
Yeah, just wanted to add that we are open for collaborations with different projects. We can come up with really interesting ideas, even no matter what project you support or represent. It can be protocols, dApps, or in real life services, and so on and so on.
Yeah, and another thing is that we have our own development team. So when we are offering collaboration, that means that we could actually offer a technical support and execution of the project. So if you have an idea, we could turn it to life just ourselves.
Just perfect. Thank you very much for your answers and for your project you're building.
Cool. Thanks for the questions. We'll move to, I think we have 3 more hands at least. So Nodefather, you can go ahead, and then Leon, and then Martian.
Cool. Thanks for having me up. I've always been really interested in Akash, but specifically where I've had the most interest or questions is like what possibilities in the future are you guys exploring, if any, for addressing the use case of confidential compute? More, not like contract based, like Secret Network necessarily, but for confidential cloud compute, like does Akash have plans for some sort of offering that would be on par or in the same realm as AWS Nitro, where they use TEE, or Microsoft Azure's confidential compute and Google's offering?
Yeah, so I can try to answer that a little bit. Yeah, so definitely something that we think about, building, utilizing or getting providers that have secure chips, for example, is one thing that we have talked about. We are exploring options in terms of building things like that, like AWS Nitro is one thing you talked about. Yeah, so it's definitely on our roadmap. It's definitely not a higher priority than GPUs. We're definitely more focused on trying to appeal to the broader audience. So we've built obviously CPU support for generic applications today, and then working with people like Secret Network to solve some of the challenges around obfuscation. But in the future, we'd be looking at hardware options as well. But it would be sort of behind GPUs and a few other things to enable easier deployments, for example. Scott, if you want to add something else to that.
Yes, just quickly. So today our mechanism of ensuring privacy per se is Akash has a auditing process. So before you deploy your workload onto this marketplace of compute and these self-sovereign providers, you can assure that you're only deploying a workload on a provider that is well trusted and audited. And we have a number of different auditing levels. One of those including the kind of the gold tier of our auditing process that installs a agent onto the provider and would give us instant notification if the provider is peering into any of the workloads. So a mechanism to ensure privacy and security. It doesn't prevent a provider from peering into a workload, but it would give an instant notification if your workload has been peered into. So obviously that we're still very new, and that's only a rudimentary safeguard at this point. In the future, certainly we understand the security of enabling encrypted at rest data. So very similar to the analogies that you drew with AWS and GCP. We're certainly very common requests and use case. So we will certainly be introducing that confidentiality and encryption at rest in the future. But as Anil said, it's not on the immediate roadmap.
Understood. Is there anywhere else I can read anything about that?
Read anything more. So we've written extensive documentation about the Akash auditing process, which is the...
Oh, no, sorry. You had said that some of the things you were mentioning weren't on the roadmap, but is there anywhere else I can read about some of those other things? It is interesting, the auditing thing. I've only vaguely heard about that in a chat room. I haven't actually heard it. This is probably more than I've heard about that than anywhere else. But,
yeah, so first of all, if you're on our Discord server or you wouldn't mind joining, just look for me, Scott Carruthers is my handle, and I can definitely guide you to the documentation and have a thorough discussion about the auditing process. Of course, this applies to anyone that has that interest. As far as our documentation or an overview of what mechanisms we would eventually introduce encryption at rest, because that's not on the roadmap yet. We don't really have any documentation or further details. It's still emerging on how we would actually introduce that. So we don't really have anything in those realms as of yet, but hopefully it'll be coming very soon.
No problem. Hey, thanks for the answers.
Okay, sure.
And if I could just add one thing to what Scott said, if you're curious about what our priorities are and what we're going to be building in the next few months or several months, hit up akash.network/roadmap. So it's akash.network/roadmap, and that basically lists out the things that we're focusing on for the next several months.
Cool. Let's keep moving. We got Leon and we got DMartian, so let's make sure we hit both.
Hello. Yeah, I'll keep my question short. I think I have a question for both teams. So for the Lorem Ipsum team, I'm assuming you guys are doing peer-to-peer networking. Do you guys ever look to integrate any kind of dedicated servers for hosting these different metaverses?
Yeah, good question. I think once we get to scale to many locations, that many users go through them from different locations as well from the world. I think at this point of time we will be looking for a dedicated server, hard one, and for sure. For now, we really would like to explore the Akash solution, which is basically almost can be considered as dedicated server. So, yeah, for sure.
Cool. And then I guess for the Akash team, if these dedicated servers are actually being planned out eventually, do you have any idea on how you're offering that to the general public, and then also how you guys, or when or if that is going to happen?
I didn't catch the part where you said if the servers are being something. Could you state that again?
Yeah, if they're being, or if you guys are looking to offer dedicated servers at some point, when or are you guys offering those eventually?
Dedicated servers as in not sharing capacity within a given provider and being able to just lease the whole provider, or because today we have you can request compute capacity for your applications from a given provider, and you basically get a dedicated server allocated to you for that time.
Oh, okay. So that is so you guys would auction off, or however Akash works, you guys auction off these servers to be able to use as dedicated servers rather than peer-to-peer networking?
Essentially. So basically today we're a two-sided marketplace, and essentially compute capacity gets allocated through a reverse auction. So you as a user come in on one side of this, and you submit what's called a request for a bid. And what the Akash marketplace does is it takes this bid request and it broadcasts it out to all the providers on our network. So today we have a little upwards of 50 different providers on our network, each of these providing compute capacity through servers that they might have. And so we take your bid request, we broadcast it out to these 50 plus servers, 50 plus providers, sorry. And then each of these providers evaluates the bid request that you have sent and decides if that's something that they can support with the compute capacity that they have. And then they respond back with bids to the workload that you have requested. And then you get back a series of bids. You pick which server you want. And then once you decide that that's the server you want to deploy your applications on, it gets reserved based on an escrow that you submit. So you deposit a certain amount of AKT, which is our token. That's the escrow. And then for the time period that that's valid, you have access to the servers. And then you can, refund, add more funds to that same escrow account, and your lease keeps renewing itself automatically. And again, keep in mind that all of this process, even though I described it, like it's a lengthy process, it's all automated. All of it runs on our software. So it literally takes a few minutes to go through this entire process of requesting bids and submitting stuff onto the Akash marketplace.
Cool. Yeah. I asked just because I think that if these metaverses get overrun or like have thousands of players eventually, it'll be really tough to just do peer-to-peer networking. So that's pretty much all my questions. Thanks, guys.
A really good question. Yep.
Thanks. And now we've got our last question. Go ahead, man.
Hi, I love privacy technologies and base technologies, and I love what you guys are working on, and I'd love to hear about it just now. I'm also a fan of Monero, and I've seen it previously been integrated with use cases on Secret Network. I'm curious if there's any room or any thought into how it might have use cases in these current applications that you're talking about, or any foresight into the roadmap to make it compatible.
Well, I can generally talk about how the roadmap looks for integrating more assets with Secret, period. I mean, with greater interoperability with IBC and with now what we're doing with interchain accounts, the idea is to support as many assets as possible on Secret and have as many other chains support Secret assets natively. We have an existing bridge so that people can bring their Monero assets into Secret Network, and I know that some aspects of that bridge are being looked into or reworked. I know there's some other teams that are toying with some other models as well for securing keys, so like new bridge models that are going to bring a different level of security. So in general, we're really interested to seeing how we can plug into other private by default networks. Like Secret is for private by default computation and computational privacy. So when you plug into these transactional privacy networks, you do have this kind of end-to-end privacy. And Monero is one of those networks, obviously, that's been around longer than pretty much any other. So it's very interesting to see how that community can integrate with our community, how the technologies can integrate with each other. And then anytime you get Monero into the network, into Secret, as Secret Monero, it is then usable really by anybody in the network. It just becomes a token contract, and any application on the network can be utilizing Monero. So I definitely imagine that anything that's being built here, provided that it's being built on Secret, can make use of Secret Monero, just like it could make use of Secret Akash or be making use of Secret USDC or pretty much anything else. It's up to user choice. I think user choice is the one thing we always try to emphasize. We want to make as many possibilities for the user, and having privacy by default is the most important choice of all.
That's great. Thanks for answering that. And yeah, it's great that you're a bit agnostic and letting users choose and allowing and having some foresight into that end-to-end kind of privacy integrations. Thank you.
Appreciate the questions. Thanks for jumping on stage. So that's the top of the hour for us. Means it's time to give that claim code one more time. You can go look into the pinned tweets here, or it's the latest tweet on our timeline, or one of the latest tweets on our timeline. There's a link there to claim your secret NFT from today for going and supporting both the Lorem Ipsum team and the Akash team, joining and listening through. You will need the claim code if you want to claim your little badge, prove you were here. That claim code is Metaverse, all caps. Go ahead and use the claim code, and inside private metadata of that NFT, you'll be able to decrypt something really special from the Lorem Ipsum team. It's a preview of something that's coming very shortly. So get that teaser while you still can. make sure you mint that badge to prove that you were here supporting the teams. They really appreciate it. And as promised, for both our teams up here on stage, one last chance to let us know which social channels you want to point people to, whether that's for the Lorem Ipsum team or for the Akash team. And then I'll close by reminding people about some of these other upcoming Twitter spaces where you're going to be able to learn more about how these two ecosystems are interacting. So starting with the Lorem Ipsum team, where can people go to keep following the project?
Yeah, thanks everyone who joined the spaces. It was a great pleasure seeing you everyone here. Thanks for the questions. Thanks to Secret Network and thanks to Akash. Let's go.
Cool. Feel free to follow the Lorem Ipsum account here, get into their channels. And then for the Akash team, follow Akash Network. And then do you guys want to share any other social links where people can learn more and go deeper on the project?
Zach, you want to take that one?
Definitely. So follow us here on Twitter. Obviously, that's the best place to keep up with everything we're doing. We do Twitter Spaces every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific. So we'll have one tomorrow morning, as mentioned, and then next week with Secret Network. So keep an eye out for that. We're publishing writing on our blog at Akash Network/blog. Check that out. Anil has a post series happening right now called Building the Open Cloud. Part 1 is live. Part 2 will be coming either this week or early next week, and it'll be 4 or 5 parts total. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. Well, again, follow the Secret Network account here if you want to make sure you catch every Secret Space. We do these every Tuesday. We feature teams from around the ecosystem and cross-ecosystem that are making use of secret contracts and our privacy technologies. Make sure you jump into our Discord, chat.scrt.network. And if you're interested in meeting more members of the secret community and maybe becoming a contributing member yourself, definitely check out our Secret Agents program at scrt.network/agents. They do a lot of work on behalf of the network. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to be a researcher. You just have to be passionate about adoption of these technologies. And you just want to work with the greatest community in the world that's passionate about these privacy technologies for Web3. Come meet them and go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole that is the secret ecosystem. So until next time, we'll do this again in a week. The next Secret Spaces on October 18th. But until then, thank you everybody for joining us here today. We'll catch you on the next Secret Spaces or around the Metaverse. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.